Hello and welcome to Perspectives, the podcast series from Luxoft where we discuss the latest technology trends with IT experts and consider their impact on business and consumer lives. My name's Alison Keep, I'm the Global Marketing Director at Luxoft and I'll be your host today. In this series of podcasts we're going to explore how technology is disrupting the healthcare and life science industries and discuss some specific use cases on how these technologies can be applied. We'll look at how they can streamline operations, connect and improve the customer, or in this sector the patient experience, and improve the efficiency and value of the workforce, meaning healthcare providers and pharma scientists. I'd like to introduce Sam Mantle, who leads the Healthcare and Life Sciences practice, and Rich Pilling, Director of our Luxoft Digital practice. So, gentlemen, let's look at the specific challenges that are being faced by the healthcare and life science industries from an operational perspective. Rich, why don't you start?
Thanks, Alison. So, healthcare is a very interesting area for this. I think it's an area where there's a lot of gain to be made through the digitisation of the information systems. Hospitals and healthcare providers seem to use a very almost paper-based system still, or a very disjointed view of the world. And moving people and healthcare sciences into a digital and connected view is something that we really look forward to doing, and it should help and benefit lots of people. A good example of this would be blockchain. Sam, could you mention how this is happening?
Yes, blockchain and distributed ledger technologies are going to enable some fundamental disruption within the healthcare, across the healthcare and life science sector. When we look at the shift from siloed information, siloed data sets, and processes that cross organizational and company boundaries, there's a paradigm shift in the levels of trust that are needed to be there. On the healthcare side, the trust barriers between healthcare payers, insurers, and patients, it's obviously a very sensitive area. You could apply the same logic to pharmaceutical companies, where there's traditionally been there have been trust issues with patient information there as well. So, in both these instances, blockchain is an enabler for collaboration by building trust that has previously not been there. We are currently working with insurance organizations in the healthcare sector to help them collaborate, sharing information where appropriate related to the insured members of their organization, and increasingly with pharmaceutical companies who have a huge challenge identifying patients who are relevant candidates for the clinical trials that they wish to run. So exactly right. Blockchain is enabling both of those possibilities in the future.
And that's a great point you raised, because trust and privacy of data is especially relevant in the healthcare industry. If we look at the upcoming GDPR regulations coming out from the European Union, this is something that is being taken much more seriously by the governance people nowadays, and rightly so. So I think and using blockchain allows us to share information in a way which is controllable and trusted, and helps people to understand where they can and can't leave their records. And this is something that we definitely need to move towards.
And I think that we have to be respectful about the domain itself. You're dealing with patients, you're dealing with human lives, so that compliance and trust is paramount within that type of environment. But actually, the progression and the demands in the industry are coming from patients themselves. We all have much more information about our own health, whether that's our own genome, which we can all get access to, which 10 years ago just wasn't a possibility. We can all monitor our health in real time through Fitbits or devices or your iPhone, or increasingly sophisticated health-related devices that are out there. So there is a demand from the consumer, the patient in our instance, to be able to collect, aggregate, and gain insights from that information in a way that they can manage and proactively manage their health and their lifestyle.
Yeah, and I think that's a very good point you raise. I mean, the expectations of people nowadays are so much higher than they were before. I mean, for example, my two children, they've grown up in what I call the app era, where everything is available at the touch of their phone or tablet or devices. And they expect the systems to work and have the data there for them. And this is an area, healthcare especially, is an area that needs to move with the times, and also, but in a way that's trusted and allows the right people to access your records and keep the wrong people out of them. With the expectations that's only going to grow over time as this current generation of children who are growing up on using apps for almost everything, or an app-like experience, they will have an expectation that this will just be the world as it happens. And that's something that we at Luxoft can help facilitate.
Yeah. And going back to the blockchain reference, I mean, blockchain is one of the buzzwords that's being used everywhere. In a healthcare and life science scenario, what's the business benefit of using blockchain? Why would you choose to use blockchain in a particular setup rather than any other technology?
So the key to that is the collaboration across organizational boundaries. And it's a very good question. And when we analyze specific use cases at Luxoft, we're very quick to get to that point because, as you say, there's a lot of hype out there that blockchain is going to solve the world. And that's not actually the case. So we're very focused in targeting those areas where there is a reliance on information shifting across organizational boundaries, where there is no natural owner or central repository for that data set, for that piece of information. So a couple of examples I would use is, across the pharmaceutical supply chain, for example, pharma companies lose visibility and lose ownership of products as they leave their own controlled supply chain, but they still have a responsibility to make sure that the patient receives them, that it's a valid product, that it has been controlled in the correct way, and that it is compliant with all of the regulations. Enabling a pharmaceutical company to collaborate with the wholesalers, with the pharmacies, with the hospitals, with the patient who is ultimately receiving that is a great example and a use of blockchain. And we're seeing the same types of examples in the healthcare industry, where you've got multiple insurance companies that all need insights into particular insured members' data. Yet that data is very, very private, and there's certain aspects that they should not be able to gain access to. So blockchain is a way of protecting the privacy, but also enabling collaboration where it wouldn't be possible with a central repository with everybody getting access to it.
And so does that also mean that there is a reduction in sort of manual reconciliations of insurance amounts, and is it streamlining that sort of process also?
Absolutely. I mean, that's an incremental benefit that you get from it. The example we use there about insurers who are all passing information backwards and forwards. There's a huge manual burden of processing claims, of managing these types of transactions. Of course, the more we can eliminate those transactions, even automated transactions, is an overall reduction of burden on the end-to-end process, and that's the key here.
Brilliant, thank you.
And absolutely, I mean, it's also a very good way of making sure that we can eliminate fraud claims from the healthcare providers. So having a centralised ledger of all the transactions on healthcare claims would enable systems to not effectively be double booked. So if you think about, if you have a couple and they both have private healthcare insurance from their two different employers, they could potentially both claim through their own providers, through different companies. And at the moment, it's very difficult to reconcile that. At the moment, it's more after the fact. Going back to Sam's point about breaking down silos, blockchain is a very good way of connecting things, and connecting is a very big theme in terms of digital transformation. If you think about what big data did and the big data technologies, it was all around breaking down silos within a company. Blockchain is a way of extending that idea out to between companies as well, and it's a really important area we work in.
Excellent, thank you. So I think that's been a great intro into how operations are being affected and streamlining through digital technology. What I'd really like to discuss in our next session is how it can improve the workforce environment, and how technology is impacting how doctors, nurses and scientists are interacting in the industry. Thanks for your time.